In any business, relationships matter, and banking is no different. The interesting thing about relationships and good working relationships in business is that it does prove that trust is really what makes the world go round. Without trust, every process is slowed down, every interaction becomes litigious and ends up on the desks of lawyers going back and forth in a never-ending negotiation over every single little detail. When the reality is, in a business sense, we can do business with the people we've done business with in the past. They're likely to act the way they did in the past in the future, and we all sort of get along and things move very smoothly based on those relationships and based on that trust. In fact, one of the interesting things I learned as I worked for a time at a global bank, a bank that was headquartered overseas, working with companies around the world who were looking to invest in the United States or companies that were in the United States looking to make investments overseas, and thereby me working with my peers in other parts of the world, I found that there's a lot of things that we do in the United States from a financial and banking perspective that are just at very least foreign, but very unfamiliar to other parts of the world. Not the rest of the world doesn't really operate on the level of trust and trust we have in our contracts and trust that we have in our legal system and how our financial system is interwoven into our regulatory and legal system. So it is a very neat system indeed. And so when you can build some relationships in there, it's a good idea to do what you can to maintain them. But ultimately, like any relationship, they need to be refreshed from time to time, and things change on both sides. You're only bound by a loan or a deposit account with your bank. From time to time, it's worth the bank trying to identify changes that have happened on your side of the relationship. And also, it makes a lot of sense for you to evaluate whether your relationship bank is still the proper bank for you. For banks really love relationships with their commercial customers because they become sticky. The more deposits and deposit accounts and all these other services that your banker tries to sell you over time, the less likely you are to leave the bank, less likely you are to run a competitive process every time you need something from the bank or something material from the bank, like a credit for new equipment or to buy another company or to um, increase your line of credit because you're anticipating needing to hire more people or pick up new inventory or extend longer terms to your clients, your own customers, whatever it might be. Um, they like that because when that time comes, you're not going to run that competitive process, and the profitability on that relationship just gets better and better over time. And they're able to charge a slightly higher fee or a little bit larger of a rate and so on. And they know that you, as a business owner, you have better things to do than to deal with your banks and running competitive process every time you need something or once a year, whatever it is. Two, you probably don't have the understanding enough to uh, put a presentation together on a regular basis to bring out to other banks and all that. So it comes down to time and understanding. Um, you just, at the end of the day, you just have better things to do. And so what we're finding at 1099 bankers is a lot of times we'll get calls from business customers around the world, say, not around the world, but at least the United States, that say, hey, we've had our bank for a long time. We have a credit need. We haven't gone outside this bank in a while, but would you take this one for us? And what we find is that when we do that, when we represent you and we call your bank on your behalf and say, "Hey, we are former bankers. We get the process. There is a credit need here, but we're going to run a competitive process just to do an overall test to see just how good of a relationship this is, and we are going to be talking to a couple of different banks for this reason or that, whatever it is, however we plan to pitch it." And Most times we will find that the small investment in a relationship with 1099 bankers more than pays for itself once we are able to get in there and keep the bank honest. A lot of times it's not something that's intentional, it just happens over time. You've probably experienced this where your bank has had numerous bankers come through and it just these things uh, kind of creep up. Your rate sort of creeps up. Your file gets a little old internally. The internal risk grade that you're assigned it maybe isn't as accurate as it should be. Your company has grown and maybe they haven't kept up with that. Whatever it is, from time to time, it's a good idea to maybe have somebody like us come in and keep everybody honest. And um, typically, what happens when we do that is we'll go out, we'll bring in a bunch of lenders, we'll position your company, but we'll bring your existing relationship lender in first and foremost. We'll be very clear to them what we're doing. We're not trying to move the relationship, but most times what they'll do is really sharpen their pencil and figure out a way to keep your relationship thereby more than paying for the service that you're getting from 1099 bankers. And that's really why we exist, either to run a competitive process with your existing bank to make sure your relationship is everything it can be with your existing bank, or on the other side of that, maybe it's time for a new bank and we can help you through that process. Through either our tier two or tier three. Tier two is what we internally call our Shark Tank coaching sessions, and that helps us help you put yourself in a way where you can make your presentations to the bank in a way that they want to hear it. It makes it easy for them to digest and run through their credit approval process. Um, some business owners just really like doing that, and in fact, there is some inherent value into that because it helps you really get a better understanding of the financial health of your company as it's perceived by the financial industry. So that is in itself a good process, an educational process, and oftentimes it leads to more systems controls, better accounting, all those things, and in the long run, there's just a tremendous amount of value that gets unlocked in doing that. And then in our tier three, most people who are running highly successful, very lean, profitable businesses that just can't yet afford to have a high paid chief financial officer or somebody like that on a full-time basis just to deal with the banks and financing. We can come in and take all that off your plate, come in like a 1099 employee would at any other part of your business, come in, do the job that you need them to do. And then when that's done, when the seasons change or whatever it is, whatever reason it is that you may have a 1099 or temporary employee, that will disengage, will leave you in a pretty good spot financially and with a good relationship with your bank or with your lender, whoever that might be at the end of the day. And we'll come back in a few years when you need us again. But if you find this helpful, go to 1099bankers.com, click on the button that says book a consultation. My name's Doug Bowman. I'm the owner of the company. When you do that, you'll either get 30 or 60 minutes with me. We'll talk about what you're trying to do, or maybe one of the other bankers who has oftentimes the same amount of experience that I have, and you'll have a very similar conversation with them, and we'll figure out what the next steps are and see if there's a way that we can help you out. In any case, we look forward to that consultation, and I hope you found this helpful.